My name is Barnaboo, and the most valuable clay tablet in Babylon had no name written on it. No title, no seal, no signature, nothing. At least, that was what everyone believed. The story began during the hottest summer I can remember. I was 23 years old, a junior scribe working in Babylon's Hall of Records. Every day I sat surrounded by thousands of clay tablets. Debt contracts, trade agreements, warehouse inventories, tax records, the history of an entire civilization pressed into clay. Most people thought scribes lived exciting lives. Those people had clearly never met a scribe. One of my colleagues was an older woman named Rama. She had spent nearly 30 years recording grain inventories. 30 years. The same grain, the same numbers, the same complaints. One afternoon I asked her how she endured such a life. Rama looked up from her tablet. Simple. How? I stopped caring about the grain. I blinked. Then what do you care about? She smiled. The people. The people? The grain never lies. She pressed another mark into the clay. The people do. At the time, I laughed. Years later, I realized it was one of the wisest things she ever said. Everything changed when Rishanu died. If you lived in Babylon, you knew his name. Even children knew his name. Rishanu was the wealthiest merchant in the city, perhaps in the entire kingdom. His caravans crossed deserts. His ships carried goods along distant rivers. His warehouses stretched across entire districts. People said he could lose half his fortune and still remain richer than most nobles. Naturally, when he died, all of Babylon became obsessed with one question. Who would inherit his wealth? Rishanu had 3 sons, Aram, Kaldu, and Asher. Each believed he deserved everything. The city spent weeks debating which brother would win. Then came the day the family vault would be opened. I was assigned to document the inventory. That was the only reason I was there. Hundreds gathered outside. Merchants, officials, servants, curious citizens, even beggars. Everyone expected treasure. The vault door slowly opened. Silence fell. Then confusion. Inside stood a stone table. Nothing else. No gold, no silver, no jewels, no treasure. Only a single clay tablet. The crowd erupted. What is this? Where's the fortune? Who stole it? Aram grabbed the tablet. His eyes narrowed. It's blank. Kaldu snatched it away. He examined both sides. It's empty. Asher stared in disbelief. This cannot be all. The crowd began shouting. Accusations flew in every direction. Yet I couldn't stop staring at the tablet. Something felt wrong. Rishanu was many things, but he was not a fool, and fools do not protect empty tablets inside vaults. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the tablet. Why protect something worthless? The next morning before sunrise, I returned to the Hall of Records. Rama was already there. Of course she was. I sometimes suspected she lived there. I can't stop thinking about it. She didn't look up. The tablet? Yes. Good, I frowned. Good? She finally looked at me. The moment something refuses to make sense, pay attention. Then she returned to work. That answer only made me more curious. Days became weeks. The brothers searched everywhere. Aram searched warehouses. Kaldu searched accounts. Asher searched old properties. Nothing. The fortune had vanished. Meanwhile, the tablet remained locked inside the Hall of Records. One evening, while examining it under candlelight, I noticed something. A tiny mark. Then another. Then another. Almost invisible. Not words. Numbers. My heart began racing. The tablet wasn't blank. It contained a sequence. A code. The next morning I rushed to Rama. She studied the marks. For a long time she said nothing. Then she smiled. I was wondering when someone would notice. I stared at her. You knew? I suspected. What do the numbers mean? She looked toward the endless shelves of clay tablets surrounding us. I think they are references. References to what? Other tablets. The realization hit me instantly. Rishanu hadn't left money. He had left a trail. Over the following months, Rama and I searched the archives. The first tablet described a disastrous investment. The second described a trusted friend who betrayed him. The third recorded a caravan he lost because of arrogance. The fourth told of a business he nearly ruined by refusing advice. Every tablet revealed a mistake, a failure, a lesson. And suddenly I understood something remarkable. The richest man in Babylon had not become wealthy because he never failed. He became wealthy because he learned from every failure. The deeper we searched, the more fascinated I became. Meanwhile, Aram, Kaldu, and Asher grew increasingly desperate. Their inheritance was disappearing. Debts accumulated. Businesses suffered. Arguments became constant. One afternoon, years after Rishanu's death, Aram stormed into the archive. Have you found the money? No. Then what have you found? I looked down at the tablets. Understanding. He laughed, then left. At the time, I felt embarrassed. Years later, I laughed too, because understanding was exactly what he lacked. The final clue led us to one last tablet. Unlike the others, it contained only a single sentence. I still remember it perfectly. Rama read it aloud, then neither of us spoke. The tablet said, "The greatest fortune I ever built was not made of silver." Silence filled the room. Beneath that sentence was another. "The silver disappeared 3 times." I frowned. 3 times? Rama nodded slowly. "He lost everything." "What?" 3 separate times. I stared at her. "But everyone says he was always wealthy." Rama smiled. "Everyone sees the final chapter." She tapped the tablet. "Very few see the earlier pages." Suddenly, everything made sense. The fortune wasn't the treasure. The lessons were. The failures were. The understanding was. Rishanu had left behind the only thing that survived every collapse. Knowledge. Years later, when I became one of Babylon's most respected record keepers, young scribes often asked me the secret to success. I always gave them the same answer, and they always looked disappointed because they expected something exciting, something magical, something mysterious. Instead, I told them the truth. Most people collect silver. I would pause, then smile. The wise collect understanding. Today, people chase wealth in different ways, different markets, different technologies, different opportunities. The tools change. Human nature does not. 4,000 years ago, people recorded fortunes on clay tablets. Today, they store wealth in digital networks and glowing screens. Yet the same mistake remains. People become obsessed with the treasure and ignore the lesson. Rishanu understood something most people never do. Money can disappear. Markets can collapse. Opportunities can vanish. But wisdom compounds forever. And that is why the most valuable clay tablet in Babylon appeared to be blank. Because the greatest treasure was never hidden inside the vault. It was hidden inside the mind of the person willing to search for it.
Thank you for listening. Through these audiobooks, we bring the timeless wisdom of ancient Mesopotamia back to life, sharing stories, lessons, and ideas that have inspired people for thousands of years. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe for more ancient wisdom and timeless stories.